سلام بچه ها، میخوایم بریم امروز با هم دیگه دونه انیمیشن از چنل شیما استوری ببینیم. با من همراه باشیم. من دفعه اولمه. بزن بریم.
Hey, I'm from Mexico and my family is kind of wealthy. That's why we have a maid living with us who does the housework. She also has a daughter called Maria, who's 1 year older than me. We never talked much because Maria wasn't allowed to leave her small chamber unless she helped with the housework or had to go to school. I know we didn't treat her well, but a few months ago, she started giving me eye contact, and I always smiled back at her. I mean, she was quite beautiful. I even tried talking to her.
این دختر خدمتکاره چقدر چیز داره. وقار نه جمالات. چقدر جمالات داره. چشاشم که آبیه.
But she was too shy and couldn't bring out a single word. But one Saturday morning, she came into my room to bring me breakfast. I told her, "Oh wow, that looks awesome. Thank you so much." That's when I noticed that she was wearing a rather revealing outfit. She put the breakfast on my bed, bowed down and said, "Sir, can I do you any other favor?" Wow, I could see her bra and it was so...
لطفی دیگه میخوای بکنی با این ریخت؟ ببین نمیذارم من سکوت کنم. همه چی با هرس بخورم. لخت پتی اومده تازه میگه میتونم کاری دیگه.
Arousing. I offered her to sit down on my bed and eat the breakfast with me together. It was the first time we had a real conversation, and after a few minutes, she said, "It's very cold in here." I responded, "I'm sorry, the air conditioning is too strong, but you can come under my blanket." Suddenly, we were laying right next to each other, with my legs touching hers. I even put my hand on her thighs. Things were great until my mom came into the room. She saw us and said, "Oh my God, what are you doing? How can you sleep with a girl like her?" Maria was so embarrassed. She ran outside. Meanwhile, I tried to explain to my mom that we hadn't slept with each other. But my mom responded, "She only wants to get pregnant by you, so she gets our money." Wow, my mom always saw the worst in other people. No wonder she was a terrible person herself. I mean, our maid was living with us for 5 years and we still treated her like a worthless servant. My family didn't even pay for Maria's school fees. But I liked her a lot and we started seeing each other in secret. I still remember the first time she came into my room at night. She was still shy and only said, "Hey." I stood up and said, "Wow, you look beautiful." But she was so nervous, she couldn't even look me in the eyes. I had never felt more aroused. She was wearing a short black dress, and I couldn't help myself. I put my hand on her wrist and pulled her towards me. Then I grabbed her hair, pulled it back, and kissed her. This was the first of many nights we spent together. But then it happened.
انیمیشنی از اول تا آخر خاکبرسری. از اول تا اصلا نظر شروعشه با این جمالاتشون تو دوربین دیگه معلوم بود چطور میشه دیگه.
She told me she was pregnant. I was confused and said, "But we always use protection. How could this happen?" She said she didn't know either, but I had a suspicion. Maybe after we slept with each other, she had searched the trash and pulled out my protection. But of course, that's just a suspicion. Anyway, it was hard to tell my parents about the baby. Both of them freaked out and my dad even wanted to throw Maria out on the streets. I was shocked and said, "No, I love her."
یعنی دقیقا همون چیزی که مامانه گفت شد. من تصور کردم یعنی اشتباه گفته باشه. حالا این یه بارا مثلا خدمتکار من البته از اول که اینطوری اومد تو اتاق این پیدا و منظورش آره دیگه پیدا.
And I want to be her boyfriend. She isn't as bad of a girl as you think. I guess my parents were disappointed I wouldn't marry a girl from a good family. But I really didn't care. Maria was a lovely girl and she was carrying my baby. However, in the first few months of our relationship, I learned that we were quite different. I don't want to sound arrogant, but Maria was less educated than me, and I didn't enjoy talking to her much. I still tried to be a responsible dad, but when I turned 18, I went to my first party. It was so crazy with all those beautiful girls. I stayed faithful that night and didn't kiss or sleep with another girl, but afterward, I started having doubts about my relationship with Maria. Maybe I wasn't ready for a family, and things got worse when I went to university. There were so many pretty girls, and many of them were flirting with me. I just couldn't take it anymore, so I went to Maria and said, I know you'll be angry, but I want an open. She started crying and said, No, that's not fair. But I responded, I'm just too young for a serious relationship. I'm sorry. I knew I was a douche because Maria had no choice. She couldn't leave me because she had no money. She was dependent on me. And as horrible as it sounds, I kind of like that because it made me feel powerful. Well, after Maria had given birth, my parents rented us a small apartment next to my university where we moved in. But I partied often and even brought girls home. And yes, I took them into the same bed my girlfriend was lying in. She would act as if she was asleep most of the time. But one night, I was drunk, woke her up, and asked if she wanted to join us. But she just started crying and ran outside. That ruined my mood, and I apologized to her afterward. Gosh, I knew I was such a jerk, but I still continued. One of my favorite girls I was dating.
دیگه انیمیشن خاکبرسری نیست. این از حالم بد شد. چه کثافتیه. انیمیشن کثافتیه این اسمش.
Was Mathilde. She was well educated and funny. I told her I had an open relationship with my girlfriend, and then I asked her if she wanted to move in with us. She was reluctant at first, but finally agreed. It was so awkward when I introduced her to Maria. I said, Maria, this is Mathilde. We've been seeing each other for a few weeks now, and I want her to become part of our relationship. I could tell Maria was angry. Of course, she wanted me all for herself. But that wouldn't happen, and a three-way relationship was still better than me breaking up with Maria. Then, I pulled both of them close to me, and we all kissed each other. Gosh, it was one of the most exciting moments of my life. But it got even better afterwards. We also all slept in the same bed, which I loved, but they didn't get along so well and often insulted each other. Their conflict escalated when Mathilde accidentally used Maria's towel. Maria freaked out and they ended up physically fighting each other wearing short pants on my bed. It sounds terrible, but it aroused me to see them fight over me. However, I still broke up the fight to make sure no one got hurt. In the end, Maria and I...
این چه سمیه؟ من چشمامو به این سم آلوده کرده. چیکار کنم حالا؟ چیه اصلا یارو ساخته؟ چی فکری کرده؟ همه با همن اینطوری. آخرش هم امیدی ندارم خوب تموم شه. بذار ببینیم آخرش تو میشه.
I decided it couldn't continue like that. And now my parents are paying her $1,000 each month to rent her own apartment where she raises my daughter. I take care of my daughter on the weekends, and I really enjoy being a dad. But university is more important right now. So I can find a good job one day and provide well for both my daughter and Maria. A long time ago, I found a little baby monkey on the side of the street. His mother was nowhere around, so I decided to take him home with me. We were really poor, so to feed him, I had to starve myself. But he kept bigger and bigger, which meant he needed more and more food. I was getting so thin, I was close to death, and my mom forced me to let him go. I was crying as I opened the door, and he ran outside. I felt like I had lost a good friend. But after a few hours, I heard a knock at the door. So, I opened it up, and there was my monkey friend again. He was holding 4 bananas and gave one to me, one to my sister, and one to my mom. Of course, we thanked the monkey and told him to go get more bananas. But this time he came back with 1 papaya and 1 mango. We figured he must have stolen them from the market. Well, this went on for several weeks. But one day, he came back with a little gold necklace. It was beautiful, so the next day, I gave it to a girl in my class named Ananya. She was even poorer than we were. Her mother had died, so she had to work as a maid for my evil classmate Champak after going to school all day. Champak treated her like a servant. He made her carry his books everywhere. And he loved barking orders at her in front of the whole class. I put the necklace around her neck. and she looked so beautiful. She gave me a kiss on my cheek and said, "Thank you." But the next day, she came back crying. She said Champak took the necklace from her and accused her of stealing it. He was really mean to her about it and punished her by making her scrub his room with a toothbrush. I wanted to fight Champak. I wanted to end him. But he was as strong as a grown man. Besides that, his father was powerful and could easily take revenge on my mom and sister. He could have done terrible things to them. I was devastated and went home feeling helpless. But then, I saw my monkey bring us more bananas, and that gave me an idea. I'd train him to steal from Champak's home. Maybe he'd even find some valuable stuff to bring me. To train him, I hid a fake golden wristband around our house. Anytime he found it, I rewarded him with a little bit of chocolate. Once the monkey was well trained, I took him to Champak's place. There was a huge wall around it. But
چرا یه هندی شد یه واسه از زور سر داره و وضعشون بچه من نفهمیدم کرد تو پاچمونو الان انیمیشن کرد تو پاچمون حالا من گفته باشم.
That was no problem, because my monkey friend could climb it easily. He jumped from the wall onto the house and went in through a window. I didn't see the monkey for several minutes, and then I heard a scream coming from inside the house. I was getting nervous, but then my monkey came back climbing down the wall, and he was carrying a gold necklace with a beautiful stone. He gave it to me, and I stashed it in my pocket. I started running toward home, but my stupid monkey went back inside Champak's house. While I got home safely, my monkey didn't make it. The next day, I went back to Champak's house to look for my friend. There, I saw a poster. It said, "If you want this monkey, give us back our jewelry." That monkey had been my friend. I loved him very much, and I hated to lose him. But the jewelry he'd given me was worth enough to get Ananya away from Champak's family. So, my mom and I went to another city to sell the necklace safely. We took the best offer and came home with $60,000 US. That's a huge amount of money in my country. It was enough that my mom and I could buy a small house. We invited Ananya to live with us for free, and she seems a lot happier since she became a part of our family. At last, I want to thank my monkey friend. Thanks to him, we can live a comfortable life.
خویدم توقع داشتم آخرش خیلی بد تموم شه ولی آخرش خوب ختم به خیر شد. امیدوارم از این ویدیو کلی خوشتون اومده شد. تا انیمیشن بعدی بای بای خدافظ.